6 months after the Battle of Sol, the Krellian Empire no longer existed. Their homeworld flew human flags, their colonies were under human administration, and their surviving ships served in the human fleet. What had once been the galaxy's most feared military power was now a chapter in human history books. Admiral Nari stood where War Marshal Thexus had once commanded, looking out over the former Krellian capital city. Human engineers worked alongside alien civilians to rebuild what the war had destroyed. It was reconstruction, not conquest, but the message was clear to anyone watching. Humanity had not just defeated the Krellians, they had absorbed them. Dr. Somin prepared for her address to the reformed Galactic Council. 6 months ago, she had been a xenobiologist begging for acceptance. Today, she represented the galaxy's newest apex predator. "Are you ready for the transmission?" asked Commander Hyunwoo. "As ready as anyone can be to reshape galactic civilization," Somin replied. The council chamber on Nexus Prime looked very different now. Half the seats were empty because their occupants had fled to distant systems. The remaining council members sat in nervous silence, waiting to hear what the humans wanted. Council Speaker Vorthak's crystal body had lost much of its inner light. Fear had a way of dimming even the brightest beings. "The Human Confederation has requested to address this council," he announced, his voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Somin appeared on the main screen, but she was no longer the humble scientist who had warned them months ago. She wore the uniform of the Human Defense Forces, and her eyes held the confidence of a species that had proven its strength. "Honored council members," she began. 6 months ago, Commander Hyunwoo stood in this chamber and asked for humanity's peaceful admission to the galactic community. You refused. The aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Instead, you granted the Krellian Empire permission to use our space as a training ground. You allowed them to hunt our civilians for sport. You chose violence over diplomacy, Somin paused, letting her words echo in the silent chamber. Today I stand before you not as a supplicant, but as a representative of the species that eliminated the Krellian threat permanently. I am here to explain what happens next. Captain Tae-hyun commanded the new border patrol that surrounded council space. His ships were not the small patrol craft of 6 months ago. They were sleek predators armed with weapons that could crack planets. Human patrol ship Sol's Pride to approaching vessel. He transmitted to an alien cargo ship. State your business in human space. This is Trader Vextail of the Altarian Merchant Guild, came the nervous reply. We request permission to pass through your territory to reach the Cygnus trade routes. Permission granted, Tae-hyun replied. But be advised, human space is now a weapons-free zone. Any ship carrying military equipment will be escorted out immediately. The alien trader's relief was obvious. Understood, Human Patrol. Thank you for your mercy. Mercy. 6 months ago, no alien would have used that word when speaking to humans. Now it was the first thing they thought about. Engineer Ye Jin worked in the expanded command center of the human flagship. The quantum beacon network had grown beyond human space, extending deep into former Krellian territory. She could track ship movements across a quarter of the galaxy. Admiral, she reported to Nari, we have 47 alien delegations requesting meetings this week. They all want to discuss non-aggression treaties. What about military buildups? Nari asked. 3 species have completely disbanded their fleets. 2 others have converted their warships to cargo vessels. The rest are staying very far away from our borders. Nari nodded. Fear was indeed more effective than any weapon. In the council chamber, Dr. Somin continued her address. You believed humans were weak because we preferred peace. You were wrong. We preferred peace because we knew what we were capable of in war. She gestured to display screens showing human history. For thousands of years on our homeworld, we fought wars that would terrify your entire galactic community. We developed weapons that could destroy cities, strategies that could break empires, and tactics that turned any environment into a battlefield. The aliens watched footage of human wars with growing horror. Nuclear explosions, massive tank battles, aerial bombardments that darkened skies. We nearly destroyed ourselves learning how to fight. Every human child grows up knowing that war is humanity's greatest talent and greatest curse. Intelligence Officer Minho monitored alien communications from across the galaxy. The conversations had changed dramatically since the fall of the Krellian Empire. Do not approach human space, one alien captain warned another. They detect everything, track everything, and remember everything. My cousin's trading fleet was stopped by human patrols, another voice said. They knew exactly what cargo he was carrying, where he had been, and where he was going. How do they know so much? The humans have eyes everywhere, a third alien whispered. They say human intelligence networks reach into every system. The truth was simpler than the aliens imagined. Humans had always been excellent at gathering and analyzing information. Now they had the technology to do it on a galactic scale. Tactical coordinator Yunji had established the Human Military Academy on a former Krellian world. Young human officers learned from the greatest military minds in human history, studying tactics from every war humanity had ever fought. The key to human warfare, she explained to her students, is adaptation. Every species in the galaxy fights the same way their ancestors did. Humans constantly evolve our tactics. What makes us different from other species? Asked one student. Other species see war as a contest between equals, Yunji replied. Humans see war as survival. We do not fight for honor or glory. We fight to live. That is why we always win. Dr. Somin reached the climax of her address to the Galactic Council. Humanity offers the galaxy a choice, she said. We can coexist peacefully, with humans controlling our own region of space and maintaining our own confederation. Or, she let the word hang in the air. Or we can take our rightful place as the galaxy's dominant military power. The choice is yours. Council Speaker Vorthak looked around the chamber at his fellow council members. Their fear was obvious. What are your terms for coexistence? He asked. Simple, Somin replied. Complete autonomy for human space. No alien military vessels in our territory without permission. No interference with human colonies or trade routes. And most importantly, no attacks on human civilians ever again. And in return, humans will remain in our own space. We will not expand beyond our current borders. We will not interfere with galactic politics. We will be peaceful neighbors. But if these terms are violated, Vorthak asked, though he dreaded the answer. Somin's expression grew cold. Then you will learn what the Krellians learned. That human wrath truly is inescapable. The vote was unanimous. The Galactic Council granted humanity complete autonomy over a vast region of space, with borders extending far beyond what humans had originally claimed. As the council session ended, Dr. Somin made one final statement. Let this be a lesson to the galaxy. Humans prefer peace, but we are exceptionally good at war. Remember which one you chose for us. Years later, alien parents across the galaxy told their children stories about the humans. They spoke of a species that looked small and weak, but could destroy entire empires when threatened. They warned their young ones never to attack humans, never to threaten human civilians, and never to mistake human kindness for weakness. The phrase, "Don't attack humans," became a fundamental rule of galactic civilization. It was written into treaty documents, carved into monument stones, and passed down through generations as both warning and wisdom. Captain Taehyun, now an admiral himself, commanded the border fleets that protected human space. His ships patrolled the edges of human territory, watching for threats that never came. Status report, he asked his crew during a routine patrol. All sectors clear, Admiral, his sensor operator replied. No unauthorized alien vessels detected. Any communication traffic? The usual trading requests and diplomatic messages. 3 more species have applied for non-aggression treaties this month. Taehyun nodded. The galaxy had learned its lesson well. Engineer Ye Jin had expanded the quantum beacon network to monitor half the galaxy. The system that had once tracked enemy ships now served as an early warning network, ensuring that humanity would never again be caught off guard. And in the depths of space, on worlds that had once belonged to the mighty Krellian Empire, human children played in parks where alien children had once cowered in fear. They grew up knowing that their species had faced the galaxy's greatest military power and won. But more importantly, they grew up knowing that their parents and grandparents had tried peace first. The galaxy remembered the warning that echoed through the stars. Human wrath is inescapable. But humanity remembered something else, that they had tried to extend their hand in friendship and the galaxy had chosen to bite it instead. It was a choice no species would ever make again. War Marshal Thexus arrived at the edge of the Sol system with 3,000 Krellian warships. It was the largest fleet the Empire had ever assembled, carrying enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. He was confident that no primitive species could stand against such overwhelming force. Admiral Nari waited for him near Jupiter, with what appeared to be the entire human fleet. 200 ships hung in space, looking small and helpless compared to the massive Krellian armada. It seemed like humanity was making its final desperate stand. Thexus was pleased. He wanted the humans to see their doom approaching. Open a communication channel to the human fleet, he ordered from his massive command ship. Admiral Nari appeared on his screen. She was a small woman compared to his huge bulk, but her eyes showed no fear. "I am War Marshal Thexus of the Krellian Empire," he announced. "You have killed my ships and insulted my honor. I offer you one chance to surrender. And I offer you one chance to leave," Nari replied calmly. Thexus laughed, a sound like breaking rocks. "You have 200 ships. I have 3,000. Your mathematics must be very different from ours." "Our mathematics are fine," Nari said, "but you are making the same mistake everyone makes about humans. You think you see everything. What does that mean?" "It means you should have studied human history more carefully," Nari replied. "We have been fighting wars in this system for over a century. We know every asteroid, every gravity well, every radiation field. This is our home, War Marshal, and humans defend their homes very well." Commander Hyunwoo worked in the tactical center deep inside the human flagship. He was no longer a diplomat. The Galactic Council had rejected humanity's peaceful approach, so he had become a strategic coordinator instead. "Enemy fleet is entering the asteroid belt," he reported to Admiral Nari. "They are maintaining standard formation." "Do they suspect the modifications?" Nari asked. "No, ma'am. They think the asteroids are just rocks." For months, engineer Ye Jin and her teams had been working throughout the Sol system. They had converted hundreds of asteroids into hidden weapon platforms. Solar collectors had been turned into directed energy weapons. Even the planet Jupiter itself had been fitted with massive electromagnetic pulse generators. The Krellian fleet moved confidently through the asteroid belt, unaware that they were flying into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history. "All units, this is Admiral Nari," she broadcast to the human fleet. "Execute Operation Gauntlet." Captain Tae-hyun commanded the first squadron of human ships as they led the Krellians deeper into the trap. His ships appeared to be retreating in panic, but every movement was carefully calculated. "Enemy fleet is following us into the kill zone," he reported. "They are taking the bait." "Confirmed," replied Tactical Coordinator Yoonji from the command ship. "All weapon platforms are in position. Sol defense grid is online." Thexus watched the human ships flee before his mighty fleet. "Cowards," he sneered. "They run like prey animals." "Sir," his sensor officer said, "I am detecting some unusual energy readings from the asteroids." "Just solar radiation," Thexus dismissed. "These primitives probably have not even learned to shield their equipment properly." He could not have been more wrong. The battle began when Jupiter lit up like a small star. The massive electromagnetic pulse generators hidden on the planet's surface fired simultaneously, creating an energy burst that disabled the electronics on hundreds of Krellian ships. "What was that?" Thexus demanded, but his own ship's systems were flickering and failing. Then the asteroids began to fire. Engineer Ye Jin had turned the entire asteroid belt into a weapon. Rocks that looked harmless suddenly revealed missile launchers, energy cannons, and particle beam projectors. The Krellian fleet found itself surrounded by a maze of death. "Evasive maneuvers," Thexus screamed. But his ships had nowhere to go. The humans had planned every possible escape route and blocked them all. Captain Tae-hyun led his squadron in a maneuver called the Gauntlet. Human ships used Jupiter's massive gravity field and radiation belts to channel the Krellian fleet into narrow corridors where human weapons were most effective. "Enemy formation is breaking apart," Yoonji reported. "They are trying to retreat. Do not let them escape," Admiral Nari ordered. "Intelligence Officer Minho, jam their communications. Make sure no ship can coordinate with the others." Minho and his team flooded Krellian communication frequencies with false signals, fake orders, and random noise. Krellian ships began firing on each other, thinking they were under attack from cloaked human vessels. The battle was not a fight. It was a slaughter. Thexus watched his mighty fleet torn apart by an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. Human ships appeared from behind asteroids, fired devastating volleys, and vanished back into the maze of rocks and debris. How many ships have we lost? He demanded. 2/3 of the fleet, sir. His tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. The humans, they knew exactly how we would attack. Every move we make, they are ready for it. This is impossible, Thexus raged. We are the greatest military force in the galaxy. Sir, his communications officer interrupted. I am receiving reports from across Krellian space. Human ships are attacking our colonies. What? Thexus spun around. That is impossible. All human ships are here. No, sir, the officer said quietly. These appear to be different ships. Hundreds of them. They are hitting our supply bases, our shipyards, our civilian colonies. Dr. Somin watched the battle from the command center, but her attention was focused on the psychological impact. Every moment of the fight was being broadcast across the galaxy. Alien species who had dismissed humanity as primitive were watching the Krellian Empire's greatest fleet destroyed by creatures they had considered weak. Are you recording the Krellian transmissions? She asked her team. Yes, ma'am, came the reply. We have captured over 300 distress calls, tactical reports, and panic signals. Make sure they reach the Galactic Council, Somin ordered. Let them hear the fear in Krellian voices. Commander Hyunwoo monitored the tactical situation from his station. The humans were not just winning the battle. They were demonstrating something much more terrifying, complete military superiority. Admiral, he reported, enemy fleet strength is down to 800 ships. They are attempting to retreat from the system. Let some of them escape, Nari ordered, but make sure they are too damaged to fight again soon. Ma'am? Captain Tae-hyun asked over the communication channel. We want survivors, Nari explained. We want them to go back to their empire and tell everyone what happened here. Fear spreads faster than any weapon. The surviving Krellian ships limped away from Sol system, their hulls scarred and their crews broken. They carried with them the knowledge that humanity was not the weak species the galaxy had believed. Thexus survived, but barely. His massive command ship was crippled and drifting. As human ships surrounded him, he sent one final message to the Galactic Council. Emergency transmission to all galactic powers, he said, his voice hoarse with defeat. Do not attack the humans. I repeat, do not attack the humans. They are not what they appear to be. They are not primitives. They are apex predators. The transmission ended when human boarding teams took control of his ship. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council received fragmentary reports of the battle. Council Speaker Vorthak read the tactical summaries with growing horror. 3,000 ships, he said to the emergency council session. The Krellians sent 3,000 ships and lost 2/3 of them in 6 hours. The humans have been hiding their true capabilities, reported another council member. Our intelligence suggests they have been planning for galactic warfare since they achieved spaceflight. What do we do? Asked a third alien. Vorthak looked at the reports again. Human ships were now attacking Krellian colonies across their empire. The species that had once begged for membership in the galactic community was systematically dismantling one of its most powerful members. We pray, Vorthak said quietly, that they do not decide we are their enemies too. The battle for New Busan lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, 37 Krellian warships were destroyed or disabled. Only 13 escaped, and they fled with crippled engines and broken spirits. Sub-Marshal Korvex was not among the survivors. Admiral Nari stood in the command center of the human flagship, watching damage reports scroll across her screens. The quantum beacon network was feeding her real-time information from across human space. Every human ship, every weapon platform, every defensive position was connected to the network. Phase 3 is ready for activation, reported Engineer Yejin. Do it, Nari ordered. Across human space, something that had been hidden for decades finally revealed itself. Cargo ships opened hidden weapon bays. Research vessels deployed swarms of AI-controlled fighters. Mining equipment transformed into ship-to-ship artillery. Even civilian passenger liners revealed that they carried enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Humanity had been preparing for this day since they first reached the stars. Every human ship had been built with hidden weapons. Every colony had secret defenses. Every trade route had been mapped for tactical advantage. Captain Tae-hyun commanded a small squadron of human ships as they moved through the asteroid belt near Titan Station. His ships looked like simple patrol craft, but appearances were deceiving. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, his sensor operator reported. 3 Krellian destroyers moving to attack the station. Tactical Coordinator Yunji, are you ready? Taehyun asked. Wolfpack protocol is active, Yunji replied from her position at the tactical station. She was young for such an important job, but she had studied every human war from the past 1,000 years. All units are in position. The Krellian ships approached in a tight formation, expecting to find scared humans hiding behind a space station. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by what looked like a pack of hunting wolves. Human ships moved with perfect coordination, each one covering the others while striking at weak points in the Krellian formation. They did not fight like civilized species standing in neat lines and trading fire. They fought like predators using speed, cunning, and ruthless efficiency. Target their engines first, Yunji ordered. Disable, then destroy. The first Krellian destroyer lost its main drive and began spinning helplessly. The second tried to retreat but found its path blocked by a human ship that had been hiding behind an asteroid. The third destroyer lasted longer, but not much. 3 enemy ships destroyed, Taehyun reported to the fleet. No human casualties. Similar reports came in from across human space. Krellian ships were being destroyed faster than they could call for help. The aliens had expected to hunt helpless prey. Instead, they found themselves being hunted by Earth's most successful predator species. Dr. Somin worked in the psychological warfare section of the fleet. Her job was to make sure the galaxy understood what was happening. She intercepted Krellian communications and made sure they were broadcast on all frequencies. Please, a Krellian captain begged in one recording. We surrender. Do not fire on our escape pods. Request immediate assistance, another voice said. The humans, they fight like demons. They appear from nowhere and vanish like ghosts. These are not the primitives we were told about, a third voice whispered. They know our tactics better than we do. It is like they have been planning this for years. The truth was that humans had been planning for exactly this situation. Every human military officer had studied alien warfare since first contact. They knew how every species fought, what weapons they used, and how they would respond to different threats. The Krellians fought with honor and tradition. Humans fought to win. Intelligence Officer Minho intercepted a message from Sub-Marshal Corvex's flagship just before it was destroyed. The alien commander had been trying to send a warning to his superiors. Emergency transmission to Krellian High Command. The message began. Human forces are not what they appear to be. They use deception, ambush tactics, and coordinated attacks. Their ships are heavily armed despite appearing civilian. Request immediate reinforcement of main fleet. The message ended abruptly when Corvex's ship exploded. Make sure that message reaches every ship in the Krellian fleet, Minho told his communication team. But change the encryption slightly. Make it look like we intercepted and modified it, sir, one of his officers asked. Fear is a weapon, Minho explained. If the Krellians think we can intercept and alter their communications, they will not trust their own intelligence. Confusion leads to panic, and panic leads to mistakes. War Marshal Thexus received reports of the disaster from his command ship in Krellian space. 50 ships had attacked human colonies. 13 had returned, all badly damaged. The survivors told impossible stories of human ships appearing from empty space, of weapons that struck without warning, of tactics that violated every rule of civilized warfare. This cannot be accurate, Thexus growled to his staff. 50 ships against primitive humans should have been a slaughter. The sensor logs confirm the reports, War Marshal, his intelligence officer said quietly. The humans destroyed 37 ships in less than 30 minutes. How? Thexus demanded. They appear to have been preparing for this attack for years, sir. Every human ship was armed. Every colony had hidden defenses. They knew exactly how our forces would attack and had prepared counters for every tactic. Thexus stared at the tactical display showing the remains of his advance fleet. Send a message to the main fleet. We attack with everything we have. Sir, his tactical officer said carefully, perhaps we should reconsider. The humans have proven more dangerous than expected. They are primitives, Thexus snarled. Primitives with good luck and hidden weapons. When the main fleet arrives, we will show them what real warfare looks like. But across human space, Admiral Nari was preparing for exactly that response. The quantum beacon network was tracking every Krellian ship movement. Engineer Ye Jin had begun converting asteroids into weapon platforms. Captain Taehyun was training human pilots in advanced combat tactics. and Dr. So-min was preparing one final psychological warfare broadcast. "People of the galaxy," she said into the camera, "you have heard the Krellian reports. You know what happened to their advanced fleet. This is what happens when you attack humans." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We tried to join your galactic community in peace. We offered friendship and cooperation. You chose to treat us as prey. You chose to hunt our civilians for sport. You chose war." Her eyes grew cold. "You have awakened something that has been sleeping since humans reached the stars. For 1,000 years on our homeworld, we fought wars that would terrify your entire galactic community. We learned to turn anything into a weapon, to fight in any environment, to never surrender until our enemies were completely defeated." She leaned closer to the camera. "You wanted to see what humans could do in war. Watch carefully. Learn well. And remember that you chose this." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched the broadcast and felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature of their ships. The humans were no longer pretending to be civilized. Captain Tae-hyun stood on the bridge of the human research vessel Seoul's Pride, watching the evacuation of Kepler 442b through the main view screen. Hundreds of transport ships moved between the planet and the waiting evacuation fleet. To any observer, it looked like a desperate retreat from a doomed colony. The observers were wrong. "Evacuation status report," Tae-hyun said to his crew. "All civilians have been removed from the surface," reported his first officer. "The mining equipment and heavy machinery are being loaded now." "What about the special equipment?" Tae-hyun asked quietly. Engineer Ye-jin looked up from her console. She was a young woman with quick hands and a quicker mind. "All quantum beacons are in position and active. The network is online." Tae-hyun nodded. The evacuation was real, but it was also a cover for something much more important. For the past 3 weeks, human ships had been secretly installing quantum beacons throughout their space. The tiny devices were invisible to most sensors and could track any ship that passed near them. "Captain," called Intelligence Officer Min-ho from his station, "I am picking up Krellian communications. They are discussing their attack plans." "Put it on speaker," Tae-hyun ordered. The bridge filled with alien voices speaking in the harsh Krellian language. Min-ho translated as they spoke. "They are saying that human colonies will make good target practice. They want to film the attacks to show other species what happens when primitives challenge the Empire." "Anything else?" Tae-hyun asked. "Yes, sir. They plan to use human civilians as moving targets. They think it will be good training for their gunners." The bridge fell silent. Every human officer felt the same cold anger building in their chest. These aliens did not just want to defeat humanity. They wanted to hunt humans for sport. "Signal the fleet," Tae-hyun said. "Tell them to begin Phase 2. Across human space, the evacuation continued. But now it had a different purpose. Human ships were not just removing people and equipment. They were also recording everything about Krellian movements. Every ship position, every communication frequency, every tactical pattern was being analyzed and stored. Dr. So-min worked in the intelligence center of the flagship. She was no longer just a xenobiologist. Admiral Nari had made her the fleet's specialist in alien psychology and warfare. Her job was to understand how their enemies thought. "The Krellians have a very formal approach to warfare," she explained to a group of human officers. "They fight like ancient knights with honor and ceremony. They announce their attacks, they fight in formation, and they expect their enemies to do the same." "What about the other species?" asked one officer. "Most galactic species follow similar patterns," So-min continued. "War is a game to them, with rules and traditions. They have never fought against a species that does not play by those rules." "And humans do not play by those rules," Admiral Nari said, entering the briefing room. "No, ma'am," So-min agreed. "Humans learned warfare from predators and prey. We fight to survive, not for honor. We use every advantage, break every rule, and sacrifice everything to win." 1 week later, the Krellian advance fleet arrived at the edge of human space. Submarshal Korvex commanded 50 warships, each one massive and heavily armed. He expected to find human defenders waiting for a formal battle. Instead, he found empty space. "Where are they?" Korvex demanded from the bridge of his flagship. "Sensors show no human ships in this system," his tactical officer reported. "The colony appears to be abandoned." "Cowards," Korvex snarled. "They ran away before we even arrived." The Krellian fleet moved toward the planet New Busan, where 2 million humans had lived and worked just days before. The colony was indeed empty, but it was not defenseless. Hidden sensors tracked every Krellian ship. Automated systems recorded their tactics, their formations, and their communication patterns. Begin target practice, Korvax ordered. Destroy the empty buildings. I want footage to send back to the Council. Krellian warships opened fire on the abandoned colony. They destroyed homes, schools, hospitals, and factories with careful precision. Each shot was calculated for maximum visual effect. They wanted the galaxy to see human settlements burning. What they did not know was that every shot was being recorded by human intelligence systems. Every weapon signature, every tactical formation, every command decision was being analyzed by human war computers. Excellent footage, Korvax said, watching the destruction. This will show the galaxy what happens to species that oppose the Krellian Empire. His communications officer looked up from his console. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the humans. Put it on screen, Korvax ordered. Dr. So-Min appeared on the main view screen. She was broadcasting from a secure location, her face calm but her eyes burning with cold fire. Submarshal Korvax, she said. I am Dr. So-Min of the Human Defense Forces. I have a message for you and your empire. Surrender terms? Korvax laughed. It is too late for that, Primitive. This is not a surrender, So-Min continued. This is a warning. You have attacked our colony. You have destroyed human homes. You have declared war on our species. Your point? Korvax asked. You have never seen humans at war, So-Min said. You have only seen us trying to be civilized, trying to be peaceful. You mistook our desire for peace as weakness. You were wrong. Threats from primitives, Korvax scoffed. Your entire fleet could not defeat one of our ships. You are about to learn something that every predator species on Earth learned long ago, So-Min said. Humans may prefer peace, but we are very, very good at war. The transmission ended. Korvax stared at the empty screen for a moment, then burst into laughter. Did you hear that? He called to his crew. The primitives think they can fight us, but his laughter died when his tactical officer spoke up. Sir, I am detecting strange energy readings throughout the system. What kind of readings? Unknown, sir. Very faint, but they seem to be coming from multiple locations. Korvax frowned. Run a full sensor sweep. The results made his blood run cold. The Krellian fleet was surrounded by dozens of tiny energy signatures. They had been there all along, hidden and waiting. Sir, his communications officer said, his voice shaking. We are receiving multiple transmissions. They are not from human ships. Then what are they from? Automated systems, sir. Weapon platforms. They have been watching us the entire time. Korvax realized with growing horror that the humans had not retreated. They had set a trap. The evacuation, the empty colony, the apparent cowardice, it had all been a lie. All ships, battle stations, he ordered. Prepare for... His words were cut off as space around the Krellian fleet suddenly filled with streaks of light. Human weapons hidden throughout the system opened fire simultaneously. The attacks came from every direction, perfectly coordinated and devastating in their precision. Evasive maneuvers, Korvax screamed, but it was too late. The humans had studied Krellian tactics for weeks. They knew exactly how the aliens would respond, exactly where they would move, exactly what they would do. The trap closed around the Krellian advance fleet like the jaws of a predator. Commander Hyunwoo stood in the center of the massive chamber, feeling very small. The Galactic Council Hall was bigger than any building on Earth. 12 different alien species sat in tall chairs around him, looking down with various eyes, tentacles, and sensors. Some looked like giant insects, others like living rocks, and a few seemed to be made of pure energy. Hyunwoo wore his best uniform, the dark blue dress coat of the Human Diplomatic Corps. He had practiced his speech for months. Today was supposed to be the day humans joined the galactic community as equals. He was wrong. So these are the humans, said Council Speaker Vorthak. The alien looked like a walking crystal, with light dancing inside its clear body. Its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. They claimed to have mastered faster-than-light travel. Barely mastered, laughed another council member. This one was a blob of purple gel that spoke through vibrations. Our records show they achieved this technology only 50 years ago. Most civilized species discover it within their first 1,000 years of existence. Admiral Nari sat in the viewing gallery above, watching her diplomatic team get humiliated. She was a small woman with steel-gray hair and hard eyes that had seen too many battles on Earth. Her hands gripped the railing as she listened to the aliens mock her species. We have come here in peace, Hyunwoo said, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. Humanity seeks only friendship and trade with the galactic community. We offer our knowledge, our culture, and our partnership. Partnership? The voice boomed from the largest chair in the room. War Marshal Thexus of the Krellian Empire was a massive creature that looked like a cross between a rhino and a tank. His gray skin was covered in battle scars, and his small red eyes showed nothing but contempt. What could primitives like you possibly offer us? We are not primitives, Hyunwoo replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Humanity has achieved great things. We have eliminated poverty on our homeworld, cured most diseases, and built ships that can cross the galaxy. You have 50 ships, Thexus snorted, 50 tiny vessels that barely qualify as scout craft. The Krellian Empire commands 10,000 warships, each one larger than your biggest vessel. The other council members made sounds that might have been laughter. Hyunwoo felt his face burn with shame, but he continued. We do not seek conflict. We believe that all intelligent species can work together for the good of the galaxy. How touching, said Vorthak. But this council has standards. Species must prove their worth before joining our community. You humans are simply too young, too weak, and too few in number. Dr. Somin stepped forward from the human delegation. She was a xenobiologist who had spent years studying alien cultures. Honored council members, you may not understand human history. We are a peaceful species now, but we were not always so. Perhaps you should know that humans spent thousands of years fighting wars on our homeworld. Wars? Thexus leaned forward, his massive bulk casting a shadow over the humans. What would primitives like you know about war? We had many wars, Somin continued, her voice urgent. We developed weapons that could destroy entire cities. We learned to fight in every environment, on land, in the sea, in the air, and in space. We fought until we nearly destroyed ourselves. Past tense, Vorthak noted with what sounded like amusement. You said you were warlike. Now you claim to be peaceful. Which is it? We chose peace, Hyunwoo said. But that does not mean we forgot how to fight. The council erupted in sounds of alien laughter. Some species clicked, others buzzed, and a few made noises like breaking glass. War Marshal Thexus was laughing so hard that his whole body shook. Primitives threatening the galactic community. Thexus wheezed. This is the best entertainment we have had in decades. Council Speaker Vorthak raised one crystal arm for silence. The Galactic Council has made its decision. Humanity's application for membership is denied. You may reapply in 500 years, assuming your species still exists. Furthermore, Thexus added, his red eyes gleaming, the Krellian Empire has a proposal. Human space would make an excellent training ground for our junior officers. They need practice fighting against primitive technology. Admiral Nari stood up in the gallery. You cannot be serious. Oh, but we are, Thexus replied. Your ships are so weak that our cadets could use them for target practice. It would be valuable experience for them. The Council approves, Vorthak announced. The Krellian Empire is granted permission to conduct military exercises in human space. All human colonies in the outer sectors must be evacuated within 30 standard days. This is madness, Dr. Somin said. You do not know what you are doing. We know exactly what we are doing, Thexus rumbled. We are teaching primitives their place in the galaxy. Hyunwoo looked around the chamber one last time. Every alien face showed the same expression, complete dismissal. They saw humans as weak, stupid creatures who would roll over and die without a fight. Very well, Hyunwoo said quietly. But remember this moment. Remember that we tried to join you in peace. Remember that you chose violence instead. Is that a threat? Vorthak asked, sounding amused. It is a warning, Dr. Somin said. You have never seen humans at war. You have only seen us trying to be civilized. There is a difference. The council laughed again. Thexus was already discussing with his aides which human colonies would make the best training targets. They talked about human settlements like they were empty buildings instead of homes where millions of people lived. Admiral Nari watched her diplomatic team file out of the chamber. Their heads were high, but she could see the anger in their eyes. Good. They would need that anger for what came next. As they left the council hall, Hyunwoo walked beside Somin. Do you think they will listen to our warning? No, Somin replied. They think they know everything about us from our peaceful contact. They have no idea what humans are really capable of. Then they will learn, Admiral Nari said, joining them in the corridor. Send a message to Earth. Tell them to activate Protocol Scorched Earth. Admiral, Hyunwoo said. Are you sure about this? Nari stopped walking and turned to face her people. Her eyes were cold as winter space. They want to see what humans can do in war. Let us show them. Let us show the entire galaxy. Behind them, the aliens continued their meeting, already forgetting about the small delegation of primitives who had just left their chamber. It was a mistake they would remember for the rest of their lives.